Zarandani, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. In today's video, I am asking the question, which side are Hawks and Dobby actually on? The simple fact of the matter is that Hawks is going into a bit of a weird situation, teaming up with Dobby to a certain extent to basically get himself into the League of Villains so that he can take them down. Now, currently, the only people that are aware of this is his agency. Basically, certain people in the agency are there to make sure that everything runs smoothly and that he actually doesn't get caught as he's going into the League of Villains to take them down. And Dobby actually is currently going through a bit of a weird situation. You don't really realize this when you're reading through the actual manga, but at first, but when you come to it later, something just makes you realize, oh, that's interesting. The fact of the matter is that Dobby is kind of wanting to leave the League of Villains. He doesn't feel like Shigaraki is the right person to be leading the League of Villains. He doesn't feel like there's anything is really going right at the current moment. And honestly, that's not surprising. Dobby is very likely Endeavor's son. And that means that he's kind of going to be developed a lot more now that, well, Endeavor isn't necessarily evil. He's actually growing as a character. He may be realizing that his father, who he thought was a evil maniac, is actually someone who's actually pretty is at least trying to make a difference and actually become someone that his family can actually look up to. That is who Endeavor is trying to be right now, and he may be realizing this. Even though there's not too much, it is clear that there is something going on there. And Dobby may definitely be wanting to return to society, fix his face, or go home, apologize, and beg forgiveness. Obviously, he's going to have to pay some of the consequences, but he wants to help. He wants to make recompense, just like his father does. While you don't necessarily know for a fact if that's actually what he's thinking, it's definitely a possibility. And as for Hawks, Hawks actually has a decent reason to want to actually turn to the side of villainy. For one, he's not really someone who actually wanted to be a hero. He says so much himself that he didn't really want to be a big top hero. He wanted people to basically just be fine. No problems whatsoever. He was just going to be himself. He was just going to become a hero and do his hero work and be able to take a rest. He wanted there to be a symbol of peace so that he didn't have to do as much work. That's what his goal was. And thinking about that makes you realize the reason for that is because of the fact that he never really wanted to be a hero in the first place. You may not realize this, but Hawks was manufactured. Kind of. Kind of like Todoroki, but we're not completely sure how that came to be. Basically, Hawks has this stuff going on with him, and it's pretty dark, all things considered. He wants to be a hero, but can he? Can he actually be a hero? Or rather, he wants to just be himself. And because of the fact that he was manufactured later in life, basically, someone found him, found out, ooh, he has a cool quirk. He has a really strong quirk. Let's develop it a ton and basically make him our weapon to basically be the number one hero at some point. And that's how his life went. But he didn't want that. And he says as much. He doesn't want to be in the top 10. So he basically just does his own thing. And that might actually give him a decent reason to want to turn to the League of Villains. Basically, to ruin his name. While he's not actually going to do anything that's evil, and eventually he's going to take him down, by him being out there as being a member of the League of Villains, when they actually put him up for trial, he can just say, I was doing undercover work. I was tasked with doing undercover work, and it will actually be detailed throughout the entire thing that he was doing undercover work. But by him being out there as being part of the League of Villains, he is lowering his stats. And even when the knowledge comes out and the information comes out, plain and simple, people aren't necessarily going to listen. They're going to think, oh, he was the League of Villains guy. Now he can basically continue to do his job without necessarily gaining a whole bunch of credit. People clamoring to him, being like, we want your autograph, blah, blah, blah. Basically, they see him. He saves them, and then they just want to run away. Because they're not sure if he's actually good or evil. Or, on probably his brighter side, he loses his hero license and basically just he can continue to run his agency or whatever, but it now has to be that his team is actually the ones who are basically running it. He can basically still be behind a desk, but he doesn't necessarily have to do any of the work. That is kind of what I'm seeing as being his real goal here. And like I said, Dabi is an interesting case as well. He probably wants to make recompense, get back to his family, get back to Shoto and the others, take down his dad for sure, but the rest of him, not so sure. There's a lot to go on. And then there are other things. Are the two actually in cahoots? Basically, they, in more than one way. Basically, they pretend to be in cahoots as he's going undercover. It's obvious to his people that he's going undercover. To Dabi's people, it looks like he's trying to actually be a villain and bring the two basically together to destroy the world. Bring Hawks in. Hawks may have some goody two-shoes thing, but to the rest of the league, it appears that he's actually being a villain and just trying to bring in a top hero to become a villain. But in actuality, the two are actually meeting differently. Hawks, like I said, he wants to destroy his image. And Dabi is basically saying that once he's actually gotten permission to bring Hawks in to take down the league, once all of this is done, he doesn't get arrested. Or rather, he doesn't get put in jail for as long. So that he can take the time and spend it with his family to recompense with them. To talk to his father, to make amends, to apologize, and to forgive. To forgive his father. To say sorry to his siblings for abandoning them. It may be challenging, but these things can happen. And I'm intrigued to see what they do with this actual story. Plain and simple, there's a lot that needs to happen. And in actuality, we don't necessarily know how much is going to happen. But knowing that there's a lot of characters in this that get developed, I would not be surprised if before long we actually do find out these answers. But until then, we'll just have to wait and see. But anyways, guys, let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of this theory. Of course, let me know your own theories and make sure that in that theory you put the hashtag theory review so that we can talk about them in my next fan theory review video, which is at the beginning of each month. And of course, if you are new, please subscribe and ring that notification bell. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you're new, and of course ring that notification bell. And if you want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description and check out all of the links down there. But anyways, guys, I've been Electro Ninja, and I'll see you guys next time. But on!